Labour today called on Chancellor Rishi Sunak to extend deadlines on their jobs scheme for young people after the end date was branded in on. The £2 billion Kickstart scheme is aimed at subsidising hundreds of thousands of work placements for under 25 people aged 16 to 24 on universal credit are eligible for 6-month work placements funded by the government, with the state funding employers to take them on, paying a minimum wage for up to 25 hours a week. Firms, which can top up wages beyond that if they want to, get a £1,000 admit, but applications for the scheme close this December. Following a roundtable discussion with youth leaders and business figures, Shadow Work and Pensions Secretary Reynolds called on the Chancellor to extend the scheme. He said, yes, for the same amount of money that's already been allocated, clearly, to make sure that's getting to the people who need it, the government's going to have to consider that deadline. He added, in my opinion the ambition should be that there is no long-term youth unemployment coming out. That is a realistic aspiration for any government to have because we know that the costs and long-term scarring effect on young people of doing that are so the obvious thing to do is to look at that deadline. The government have more information than us in terms of what is in the pipeline, and the bids that have come in. But from what I'm hearing from that panel of experts this morning, clearly they need to look at that deadline. During the roundtable, Sam Windett of youth employment group Impetus said the December deadline was a nonsense. Half the fall in employment has been amongst under 24s, she said. The number of Kickstart placements, and the way Kickstart is turning out, it's more like a wage subsidy scheme rather than a support. And she said, we've got to remember it's for the young people as well as the businesses. The businesses are getting a good deal, they're getting the wages paid here. She added, Kickstart, in and of itself, needs the December cutoff date is a nonsense right now. The plan for jobs was July. We're now in February and Kickstart has had a slow start for very reasonable reasons, but the December cutoff date makes no sense. And concerns were raised about the government tinkering with the rules of the project after originally, most firms offering Kickstart placements had to do so through a gateway, like Fay College or local groups like Chambers of Commerce. But when it emerged the project had resulted in just 2,000 job starts between September and January, the government changed the rules last month, allowing firms to directly apply to the Department for Work and, at the time, Work and Pensions Secretary Therese Coffey said the change was aimed at making it even simpler to get in. She added, now is the time to prepare for post-lockdown placements and employers will now have a choice to apply direct or through one of our 600 fantastic Kickstart gateways who may be locally connected or sector-specific providing that tailored. But during the roundtable, Alan Rines of Hounslow Chamber of Commerce argued surprise rule changes were killing gateway provider. He said, we are the people on the ground. We are the people with the local knowledge, and we are absolutely best placed to find the right type of companies and the right type of Kickstarters to get into those A Conservative Party spokesperson said, Kickstart has created more than 120,000 jobs in the first few months, more than Labour's Future Jobs Fund ever did, with thousands of young people already starting, and employers still have until the end of this. I'm quite pessimistic to be honest. Jamie McCann, 22, from North Ayrshire has been furloughed twice, and made redundant since the pandemic. Although he managed to find another job, he is concerned about what will happen after. I'm worried about it, especially because I'm on a temporary contract. He studied hospitality management at college, but now doubts if there is a future for him. I'm quite pessimistic, to be honest. I think it will take a long time before this industry is back on its feet. And because all these people have lost their jobs, everyone's going to be battling for the same ones when they all start coming up. Being out of work has affected his mental health. It's starting to affect me now that I lost a flat and lost a good job that could have gone some. When the pandemic hit, everything just closed down. Worked as a theater tech. The arts and culture sector has been one of the worst hit sectors by the pandemic. When the pandemic hit, everything there was talk that the theaters will be open again by the end of the year. But it actually just got further and further away. After Rishi Sunak said that those who work in the creative industries should retrain, he managed to secure a job in it. But when the third lockdown hit, he was placed on furlough. It's been a year of absolute uncertainty. Like the others, he worries for the future of his industry. I'd love to get back into but until they open up again, it's just absolute unknown. I don't know if the current government respects theater and the arts as much as they say that. They don't seem to be planning ahead with anything. If furlough were to stop, took being furloughed as an opportunity to start his own business. I started doing energy comparisons for people and helping those that can't, do it themselves, like elderly people with their end. He's concerned about losing his job as a conservatory salesman when furlough ends. I've had no communication with them at all, not even one call since March. So between me and you, I don't know if I've got a job. If furlough were to stop, I've got bills to pay for. So I'm really scared. I'll be honest with you, it does keep me up. He hopes that the government will step in to help people like himself. In terms of options for people who are trying to build careers, they're very shaky. I'm praying that the government is going to offer more help. I'm not very optimistic about finding a job in engineering. Devin has struggled to find a job in engineering after graduating. I'm not very optimistic about finding a job in engineering. I've probably applied for 10 to 20 jobs in the last 6 months. He decided to pursue a career as a carer instead, and is now working as an activities support coordinator in a care home. But COVID has had an adverse effect on his career progression. Because of COVID, they haven't really done the training with us. We weren't getting the visits from managers and support that we're quite isolated. He now doubts if he can continue working in care. It's draining, understaffed and underappreciated. He told the Mirror his experiences have made him definitely more anxious and a bit depressed, because I wanted to help, to take the call to get involved in. I don't think we get enough support. I don't think we're a priority. I feel like I'm in limbo. 25, a hotel worker and social policy student from Glasgow, is also nervous about job hunting as a graduate. I don't have an active job right now because I'm on furlough. And are going to be active jobs in the future, either? It's a really difficult situation because I feel like I'm in a limbo where I can't excel in my career now and I can't excel in the future because I don't know what's going to happen. She and 130 of her colleagues were furloughed in September, and she is unclear if she will keep her job when furlough ends. It's a really uncertain time. The cliff edge will be April 2021. There's been barely any communication. It feels as if furlough means you're not employed anymore. It's almost as if you're not an employee. I think an employer still has a duty of care. You think, what's the point of getting out of bed? I was out of work for nearly a year. 24, from Harrogate, was out of work for just under a year after studying maths. He was let go rather than furloughed from his bar job at the start. The reasons weren't really clear. I was a bit surprised. I didn't realize how long it would take me to find an. He says the job search was really awful. He said, I applied for everything, all those jobs that people say, oh, there's loads and loads of these and people aren't doing them, like crop picking It was depressing that I'd been to university for 3 years, and I was getting turned down for jobs that I'm overqualified. He has now secured a short-term role in IT support, but he has had to move back into his I was hoping for it to be a short period of time. And it's looking like it's